It's time to stop chasing women. It's unfortunate to see how many of you believe in the old convention that a man must always chase the woman. Too many of you don't understand where this convention came from. This idea stems from a time when a man would take a woman from her father. In those days, the mom and dad were extremely protective of their daughters because they knew they had to go to good homes. The responsibilities of the man and the responsibilities of the woman were well understood. At this point in time, this old school idea only serves women. The problem is, women don't respect guys who chase them a lot. Now, I know this seems counterintuitive because a lot of girls are constantly going to tell you, I love when a guy chases me. The problem is, this is what they've been taught to want, not what they genuinely desire. The difference was, the guy had to break through many walls to eventually get the girl. Let me break down what most guys had to go through. First, they have to break through the initial rejection. It was entirely normal for the girl to always say no initially. This was a tradition so the girl wouldn't seem easy. Once you got through the first no, then you'd have to get through the curfew. A woman's family would not allow her to be out past 8 o'clock. A guy had no choice but to secure a date somewhere between the hours of 3 and 8. Even if he did manage to secure this, it had to be in an extremely public place. While he's trying to get this date to happen, he's also battling the barrier of the brothers. Families were typically larger in that era, and brothers would often be extremely protective of their sisters. Once he finally breaks through the brother barrier, now he has to break through the family barrier. And then, of course, when the girl finally had the courage to bring this guy home, the father would sit there at the door and say, "What did you bring here?" It was extremely normal for the father to say, "This guy is never going to enter my house." Finally, when you break through that barrier and you get her father's approval, now you have a chance to date her. So many of you guys and most of the girls are trying to compare that era with today. It is not even close to the same thing. Back then, as a guy, when you did eventually break through all of those barriers, you were guaranteed a pure woman. Are you already starting to realize why this makes zero sense in today's time? It was never about chasing the girl. It was all about overcoming the social barriers that comes with the girl. Let me tell you the story of when my grandmother first met my grandfather. It all started with a town dance. In that era, dances were earlier in the evening. They didn't go too late. Everyone would show up at roughly 4 to 5 o'clock, and they would typically leave at 9. My grandparents showed up, and my grandfather caught my grandmother's eye. My grandmother went up to him and said, "You must not have a tongue because you haven't spoken a single word all night." My grandfather responded by sticking his tongue out at her. Even in this situation, guys, my grandmother chased my grandfather, not the other way around. From there they danced, and that's where their courtship began. My grandfather didn't chase my grandmother, but in order to continue the relationship, he had no choice other than to break down all of those boundaries I mentioned earlier. The point I'm trying to highlight is this. Even back then, women were not excited by the idea of a guy chasing them. This whole idea that a guy has to chase a woman is simply a narrative to give women power. Women love to reserve the right to be able to choose whoever they want while also giving nothing. This is no different than a cheap businessman. A cheap businessman wants all of the value while giving zero value in return. Ultimately though, any relationship only functions on a proper mutual exchange. This is why girls will say they want you to chase them, but they don't desire that deep down. And if you truly implement the things that I tell you, you'll notice more often than not, when they chase you, they like you way more. The moral of the story is this. Stop chasing women. Also, stop believing the harpies online that don't have your best interest. Become valuable and learn how to absorb women. When they do show you interest, have the balls to approach them and start the interaction. But never feel like you have to jump through these artificial hoops that they set for you. This is not genuine attraction, guys. The process of absorbing women is obviously way easier when you're a complete man. Even if you're attractive and dress well, if you don't know how to talk to them, you're not going to get anywhere. The same goes for any other traits. If you're good at everything, but you're broke, you're going to have a hard time retaining her. This is exactly why I made my Distinguished Living program. In my program, I teach you the secrets of how to make money online, how to attract women, how to work out, how to dress, and how to make a social profile so you're more attractive. You need all of these things to get what you guys constantly tell me you want. If you're one of the few guys that legitimately wants to be somebody, click the link in the description below. For the rest of you, like and subscribe to see more videos like this. I'll see you guys in the next video.